I recently had the chance to sink my teeth into the Blood of Dawnwalker at a hands-on session, including getting to grips with the combat, the skill trees, the characters, the quests, the lot of it. So let's talk about it, because I learned a lot. But first, a quick recap for those of you who just got up out of the old coffin after a lengthy slumber. I'm talking about the debut game from Rebel Wolves, a shiny new studio which has been formed specifically to make badass RPGs. And that's something that these guys know a lot about, since a lot of them have games like Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on their CVs. And not to jump ahead, but that second one is going to be especially relevant here. So The Blood of Dawnwalker is a third-person, open-world action CRPG set in a dark fantasy version of 14th century Europe. After a plague brings humanity to its knees, the vampires emerge from the shadows and take over, led by an ancient bloodsucker named Brensis. So naturally, you're going to want to do something about that. Now, I was lucky enough to get some serious hands-on time with The Blood of Dawnwalker. I played through the game's entire prologue, which gave me a pretty good sense of how the game's world works and how the main story gets put into motion. Although the latter can basically be summed up as, that Brensis, yeah, he's a big old meanie. You'll be playing as a man named Cohen, who is in fact said Dawnwalker, who's human by day and vampire by night. Bite curious, if you like. Caught between these two worlds and with his family in imminent peril, it'll be up to you to decide whether to ruthlessly harness Cohen's dark powers in order to take down Brensis and his crew, or to try and preserve what's left of your humanity. Or, you know, a nice mixture of the two. I went for the blood-sucking vampire vibes though. His status as a Dawnwalker gives Cohen a diverse moveset depending on what time of day it is. He is a pretty nifty swordsman while the sun is up, and also gets a set of razor-sharp claws to do his slicing and dicing with after dark. Now, Cohen's vampiric powers are a strictly nocturnal affair, so if you want to walk on walls, or shadow step, which is just goth for teleport, or drain someone's blood, you have to do that at night. But to balance things out, Cohen also has a range of witchcraft abilities that he can use during the daytime. And I did find out how he came to be in possession of those witchy powers too, but no spoilers, but it's a long story involving a nun, so I'll just let you guys find that out for yourselves. Cohen's skill tree lets you decide whether to focus on his swordsmanship, his witchcraft, or his vampirism. Now, the first two can be upgraded in time-honored RPG fashion by leveling Cohen up and spending those skill points at a shrine. But vampirism is powered by corruption points instead, and the only way to earn those bad boys is to put those chompers to work. You'll also need to obtain skill manuals to unlock certain upgrades, which are sometimes offered as rewards for quests, and sometimes just found lying around the place. You know, like those magazines that your dad talks about finding in the park. Yeah, right, mate. There's a huge range of passive and active upgrades to unlock, from new combat moves like chucking sand in your enemy's eyes to more exploration-focused ones like the ability to run faster by turning into a wolf. And then also detective skills like being able to resurrect dead souls and interrogate them. And of course, there's also the traditional increase your health and your stamina options as well. All told, it looks like there's a lot of class building fun to be had here, with skills to suit a diverse range of playstyles. Although, if you can see an option that says gain the ability to transform into a wolf and not take it, well, you and I are just very different people then. However you choose to play, you are going to spend a significant amount of the Blood of Dawnwalker fighting. I mean, this is an action-forward sort of action CRPG, and that's definitely a good thing, because the combat here is absolutely sick. Anyone who enjoyed For Honor is going to feel right at home with the directional combat on offer here, but the setup is basically that you and your enemies can attack and parry in 4 different directions. You've got up, down, left, and right. A well-timed, correctly aimed block will provide you with the opportunity to counter, but it also comes with a really tasty ping sound as an added incentive. Loads of fights are going to see Cohen swarmed by a whole crowd of enemies, but the fact that you don't actually need to be facing an enemy head-on to block their attack, and then also the seamless way that you can cancel an attack and swap to a block instead, ensures that combat always feels fair, but still looks fluid. But the thing that really sets the Blood of Dawnwalker apart for me is how different combat feels depending on whether you're in human or vampire form. So daytime fighting is a bit crunchier with a focus on parrying, while your vampiric form is much more agile and elusive. You can still block stuff with your claws. I mean, the game does encourage you more to do dodges instead, but it's up to you. But then confounding your enemies as you dart around them before you move in for the kill is really satisfying. It's worth noting though, you can still totally use a sword as a vampire as well, which For the most part, I did prefer, but maybe that would change once I've unlocked some different gear or different skills later on. Oh, and of course, there are also unblockable attacks that you have to dodge whether or not you've gone all toothy or not. As you attack enemies, you gain a little charge that you can channel into your swordsman, witchcraft, and vampire abilities, so you'll have to fight very differently depending on which of the second two that you've currently got available. But in either case, the option to hot pouch 4 abilities or to slow down time while you pick from a radial menu ensures that these fit fluidly into the combat experiences as well. It's all very smooth, very suave, Dracula would be proud. And it's not just your abilities that change when the sun goes down, but you'll also be able to swap to a whole different loadout. Basically, you're getting to craft not 1, but 2 distinctive builds for your character, with loads of different gear to pick up by looting dead enemies, receiving it as a quest reward, straight up just stealing it, or just taking the stuff that you find lying around, which I guess some people would also classify as stealing, but no one's there to catch you. The armor and clothing that you obtain comes with different stat buffs, some of which only affect Cohen while he's a vampire, some only while he's human. Some weapons are especially good against particular enemy types, and some also come with their own special moves that you can unleash by hitting left and right bumper together. One sword that I found during my time had a heavy strike combo that was really great for giving the bad guys the old 1-2. You can upgrade all your weapons and all your gear at the local blacksmith, and there are also a whole range of potions that you can craft to boost your stats, replenish your health, and do all the usual potion-y things. Use your imagination. You'll need to take advantage of every trick that the Blood of Dawnwalker has to offer if you want to survive, because there is a diverse range of enemies on offer, all of which are very dangerous in different ways. Now, Brentis and his vampire court are obviously instantly menacing, but, with an air of godly regency that makes them actually feel more sinister. They're not immediately savage though, unlike the mindless ghouls that you see in a lot of other films and games. And one really cool touch is that they're all dressed according to the era that they originally lived in. They've got no shortage of humans doing their bidding for them, many of whom are pretty handy in combat, and the game's fantasy world is also populated by all sorts of other miscellaneous monsters, like these little freaks called kobolds who, after encountering for the first time, definitely left a bit of an eerie chill down my spine. The boss encounters we got to take part in upped the ante just the way you'd want them to, with big bads who come rocking huge health bars, deadly attacks, and sometimes some chaff enemies as well, just to distract you. Now, to keep you from getting in over your head, the Blood of Dawnwalker very kindly color coordinates its enemies with clear markers on their health bar that indicate what level of challenge they will present if you decide to take them on at your current level. Now, here's a hot tip. If you see an enemy with a red marker, you get out of there, mate. The day/night, the vampire/not a vampire split would be more than enough to build an entire game around, but the Blood of Dawnwalker also has another really novel game mechanic up its sleeve. You know how I mentioned ages ago that Cohen's family, well, they're all in imminent danger? Well, emphasis on the imminent part. You have precisely 30 in-game days to save them, with different quests costing you different amounts of time. Now, it's important to note that the game does continue after that 30-day mark is reached, so it's not instantly game over if you fail, but the rest of the story probably is going to go very differently. Fortunately, the game uses indicators above the NPCs' heads to make it really, really clear to you when you're about to embark on a part of the quest that will move time forward. So you're always able to consciously choose what you want to prioritize, and you won't kill your entire family with the errant press of an X button. So, that's a load off your mind. This meant I was actually able to complete large parts of other quests before making my decision to proceed with the ones that would actually chew up the clock, giving me both more content and also less stress. Well, the appropriate amount of stress for someone in Cohen's position, at least. The 30-day limit helps combat that cognitive dissonance you get in a lot of other RPGs where your character is supposed to be racing to save the world, but instead they're just spending hours and hours and hours playing minigames and running errands for every random stranger that they meet. But it also adds a real weight to every decision that you make, because you'll encounter plenty of people who could really use your help in this dingy, monster-filled world, but then every day you spend doing so brings your family a day closer to their demise. The writing and the voice acting are incredibly strong here, so you're going to find yourself drawn into the lives of the people that you meet, which will make taking a none of my business approach even harder. And just like with the quests that you'd encounter in games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, there's a real moral complexity to most of them as well. Brentis is a deeply aggravating villain, and you'll want to start smashing up his goons at the first opportunity, but it's not always you that will pay the price if you do. Plus, Brentis does have his supporters, both amongst the monsters who now get to live alongside humans, but also with humans who just feel like giving him the odd pint of blood in exchange for their safety isn't such a bad deal after all. I mean, they had plague before, now they're fine-ish. It's not the most obvious comparison, but the Blood of Dawnwalker actually feels a bit like a Far Cry game, in that you're dropped into an open world, ruled by a ruthless autocrat, and then tasked with overthrowing them, with the option to take down his vassals as you go. There's even a nifty anger system where you can do things that annoy Brensis, which both weakens his defenses, but also makes him more aware of the threat that you pose. I think 30 days is a good amount of time to work with. I mean, it lets you feel free to explore and get lots of side questing in, while still pushing forward with the main plot, which is good because it's immediately clear that the Blood of Dawnwalker has a ton to offer in this regard. You're only locked into a quest during pivotal story moments, so you can usually have a bunch of quests active, and then there are a huge range of them to discover, from the more conventional ones where someone asks you to rescue a loved one of theirs, to more emergent quest lines like when I found some weird will-o'-the-wisp thing floating around in the forest somewhere, decided to follow it, ended up duking it out with a very angry bear, and then found some good loot by a corpse. Good times. The main thing that I'm looking forward to seeing more of though when it comes to the Blood of Dawnwalker is, well, just more. The enemy design I thought was absolutely stellar, so I want to see more of those bad guys on offer. I want to see more of the combat and find out how Cohen plays once he's like fully mastered some of his abilities. I want to see more of the story so I can see how my choices ripple out through the game's gorgeous gothic world, and to find out exactly what happens if you don't manage to save your family. I also learned that there are all sorts of different endings you can unlock while speaking to some of the dev team there, including some that can actually bring the story to its conclusion hilariously early, Far Cry style. So obviously I'm going to be trying to figure out how to do that. And also I just want to see more because this game is just straight up gorgeous. The facial capture is brilliant, with loads of little gestures that really sell you on the emotion of a scene. And the world itself is as immersive a fantasy realm as you'll find this side of The Witcher. It's also gloriously free of yellow paint and other player aids, encouraging you to dive in and just figure out where you can and can't go for yourself. So what else does this place have in store for us? What does the rest of the Blood of Dawnwalker's world look like, and who will we meet there? Well, I don't know yet, but we can't wait to find out when it arrives on September 3rd, and as an added bonus, the Blood of Dawnwalker is Xbox Play Anywhere compatible, meaning you can take your progress across Xbox Series X and S and PC with free cloud save and achievement syncs as well. So that's absolutely everything we learned about the Blood of Dawnwalker so far, but we'll definitely be coming back when the final game comes out, so make sure you subscribe to find out what else we discover. Bye!